Hi, it's Mrs. Ferris from Wood Library and welcome to this month's edition of Craft Your School Special at Home. I have a question for you. Do you want to build a snowman? Well, I hope so because that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making a snowman that looks just like this. Now, if you reserved a materials packet from the library, you will have come, I hope, to pick it up. But it wasn't a bag this time. It was an oatmeal container. And when you open it up, you'll find most all of the things that you're going to need for this project. So let me dump them out. And don't set this too far away because we're going to be using that. Inside your bag, you will have found a piece of white paper that measures 18 inches long by 9 3/8 inches wide. And you'll find that that's just exactly the height of your container. The other piece of paper that you have in your container is a list of all of the things that we're going to be using and also how to make this. But we're going to be showing you too. So inside you're going to have two pieces of fleece. One is a blue piece that is 8 inches by that same 18 inches, and that's going to be for the hat. There's another piece that's a long, thin one. That's going to be for the scarf. And there was also a small bag of little materials there. There's a piece of orange felt for the nose, a piece of ribbon to tie the hat, a jingle bell to go on that ribbon, a small bottle of tacky glue that you're going to have to remember. Snip the tip to open in order to use it. There are 5 buttons in the bag. There are 3 that are orange and 2 that are black. And they're going to be for the eyes and the buttons on his belly. And the other thing that you'll find in your bag is a little piece of pink paper with some straight pins in it. They're very sharp, but we will be using those to hold the hat together while we're waiting for our glue to dry. So let's get started. I should mention there are a couple of things that you need to provide. So you can have some Scotch tape at home or a glue stick if that's how you want to put your piece of white paper onto the container. You'll need a black marker, a pair of scissors, and because we're working with some tacky glue, I always like to have a piece of wet paper towel so I can clean off my fingers when I'm finished gluing. So now let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is take that piece of paper and wrap it around your oatmeal container. And you'll see that I cut it to fit exactly so it will be just as high as the container. And it also overlaps just a little bit. Now you can either glue that down with your glue stick, with your tacky glue. I think it's just as easy to tape it on. Then you don't have to wait for anything to dry. So I'm just going to quickly put a couple of pieces right along that seam. And it will be in the back anyway, so it won't show. So I don't know if you can see that, but I've got 3 pieces of tape. Then what you're going to want to do is to take your piece of fleece and wrap it around the top, the open end of your container. And you'll find that since it's the same size as the piece of paper, it too overlaps so that there's an area for you to put the glue. Now for right now, I'm just going to put some of those straight pins in to hold it in place so I know how much I need to have it overlap when I glue it. And then take it off. And you're going to make it kind of a cylinder. Cylinder is a circle you could look through. And I'm going to pin those all the way up. Now if you like to sew, you could sew this. You could even leave the pins in it because they really don't show much. But if you're going to be taking the hat on and off of your snowman, you probably want to glue it. So snip the tip of your tacky glue. I've got a bigger bottle here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn it inside out. Because I pinned it along one edge, but that left the other edge kind of open, and that's where I'm going to put the glue. So we're just going to squeeze some glue down. Just a strip of it, and then fold it so that it's still touching. And what you may want to do with those extra pins that you still have, very carefully turn it back up, right side out. Don't pull on it too hard because you do have the glue there. So you still have it as a cylinder. And then I'm just going to put one pin towards the top, right along that other edge, and one along the bottom. And just let it stay for a little bit. You can actually let this just be like this for overnight while that glue dries. Won't make any difference. So I'm setting that aside for now. And then what I want to do is I want to decorate it. Now I know that I'm going to have my hat come down, maybe about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to want to put my face below that. So I may take a pencil and just put a mark where I want to have the eyes. And then you're going to get your black buttons that were inside your bag and take a little bit of that tacky glue . Just put a little on there. You don't need a lot. Just enough to cover the back of it, and then stick your eyes on. Like that. So there are his eyes. The even. It's one thing about using tacky glue, it'll hold it, but you can also reposition it a little bit. So there are his eyes. Now what does he have underneath his eyes? His nose. So you have a little piece of orange felt. You're going to want to cut a triangle out of that with your scissors. Now if you're not sure exactly how big you want it, you could use a little scrap of paper and draw a triangle nose and use that for a pattern. Or you can just eyeball it. Do you know why we want it to be a triangle nose? What do most people use to make a nose on a snowman? A carrot. And a carrot is kind of shaped like that. So you're going to take a little bit of that glue again and just put it right along one edge, one of the long edges. Not go down near the point. And the reason I like to do it that way is then his nose can stick out a little bit, have a little dimension. So I've got my glue like that, and I'm going to put it right like that. Then you can take your marker, and he needs a smile, right? So I'm going to draw a little circle, a little dot, kind of like between his eyes and under his nose. That'll be my first one. And then I want the next two to be a little higher. And then two more, so he has a nice grin. And then when I have it looking the way I want, then I'm going to make those a little bit bigger and probably probably not quite so round, because if I was making a snowman, I would use some lumps of coal or charcoal. So there's his smile. Then take that ribbon that you've got inside. Actually, we'll save that. That's not what I want yet. You want that strip, this plaid strip of fleece, and it's very stretchy. So you may want to trim it later, but what you're going to want to do is to tie it right around your snowman. So it'll stay up all by itself. So like that. And if you decide you can trim it, you cut it off, and you can even fringe it if you want to. And push it up just a little bit. It should be right underneath his smile. And the knot should be over to the side just a little bit, so you have a space where you can put your buttons for his belly. So one more time, get out that tacky glue. Put a little bit of glue on each of these buttons. And I like to line mine up right under that first dot we made for his mouth. And you should have room there for 3 buttons. Trying to see where my other button is. There it is. I hit it on myself. This is a very quick project, isn't it? If we were doing this in the library, we probably would have spent a little more time with it. But for the video, we'll just do it steps 1, 2, 3. So there are his buttons. Now I've let my hat dry a little bit, and I'm going, as I said, I'm going to leave the pins in it overnight so that it's really all connected. But I think by now I can pull it over the top of my snowman. Put it down just enough. So I'm pulling it down, and then I'm going to take that ribbon that was in the bag. And starting from the back, I'm just going to bring the ribbon around so that the ends meet and are kind of even above his nose, and tie it. Pull up the top of the hat a little bit. And so it won't come undone, I'm going to tie a knot before I put on the jingle bell. Then I'm going to thread the jingle bell onto one of those strings before I tie it all into a bow. And to do that, you may need to fold the ribbon in half to kind of make it slide through the opening of the jingle bell. But you're going to thread that on and slide it right up to the top of the hat, like that, and then make a bow. And since you already have your knot, you don't have to hold it too tightly. And I gave you quite a long piece of ribbon, so if you decide that you wanted to make that a little shorter, you can. Make the loops a little shorter. And the one last thing is that lid. So I'm going to actually take my hat off now that I've got it all tied with the bow, and I'm going to put the lid on it so that I have it, and then put the hat back on. And the reason you want the lid is, well, you don't know yet what you're going to put in your snowman container, do you? One thing I was thinking of is, since this container used to have oatmeal in it, wouldn't it be fun to make some oatmeal cookies and then use this as the box to give them away? You could also use this for holding things that you might have at home, like markers or crayons or treasures, something that you might collect. You could even make some pom-pom snowballs and keep them inside so that when you got really bored, you could do an indoor snowball fight. But that's our craft project for today. Do you want to make a snowman? We just did. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back again next month with another fun craft project for our Crafter School Special at home. Thanks for tuning in.